Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tanya Tyler, and I'm excited because we're going to be talking to Mr. Brandon Drake. And he is Mr. Health Conscious Guru, gentleman. And I can't even do him justice on my introduction, so that's why I turn it over to him. So, Mr. Brandon, please tell a little bit about who you are and, what do you do?
Yeah. So they call me, my moniker is Healthy Data Guy because I believe in in using data to make healthy, informed decisions. That's really essentially I'm a business development consultant, and I help health-based companies to grow their business. And as long as their mission is fully aligned with what I believe in, it makes my job really easy because I'm very passionate about health and wellness and really taking a personalized approach to healing. I like when people really take the time to actively listen to you and get to know you and then come up with a solution that's tailored for you, because I'm pretty much sick and tired of one size fits all solutions. They don't work, as in society. But yeah, that's why I work with a functional nutrition practice, and they really take a personalized approach to healing, and they take the time to get to know you, your health history, your environment, your lifestyle behaviors, and then really educate you so that you know how to be independent over time, so that you know how to lead a lifestyle that's conducive to long-term and sustainable health success. That's high level what they do. And the other company I work with is a health technology company. And I like working for them because also, too, they pride themselves in taking a personalized approach to healthcare. What they do is they provide bio-individualized blood work analysis software that helps practitioners become more effective and efficient at analyzing blood test results to improve client health outcomes. And what makes them really unique is they take in consideration your unique characteristics like your age, gender, ethnicity, elevation in which you live in, pregnancy by trimester, menopausal status, menstrual status. And they take all those factors into consideration to more accurately determine what your true health status is. So then from there, you can make targeted approaches to make changes. That's why I call myself Healthy Data Guy, because I believe in using data to make those informed decisions. And that's what one of the companies does. So they both complement each other because they both take a personalized approach to healthcare, one more on the coaching, one more on the technical, what you call it, bio-individualized blood work analysis side. But they both are doing their jobs in terms of what I fully believe in. So it's easy for me to do my job and wake up every morning to really educate people so that they become better versions of themselves. So that's me in a nutshell. So please ask more questions.
Well, like you said, it's a mouthful, so we're going to have to break that down a little bit, for those who don't really understand the science of it and the data portion of it, because now, for what I'm understanding, please correct me wrong, is like they're taking the science approach to healthcare and trying to link it up together and really get like you said, a personalized thing. So it's not like, when the doctor actually comes in there, it's like, well, we know this works over here generally for these people, but what about you? So you're taking the science that's already available, really, and just plugging it in to figuring out how does it really work for you, your type. Is that what I'm understanding?
That is correct. In both the practice and the health technology company pride themselves on taking that particular strategy in terms of really getting to know you, or are gaining attributes for you and then coming up with something that's tailored for you. So, and that's why it's so fun to do my job, because I know people are going to be taken care of because we're actually taking the time to get to know them and their characteristics to come up with something that's personalized for them. So yeah, in a nutshell, yeah. What you said was totally correct. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I always love to share with the audience like how we connected, and we actually was connected by another gentleman who was really pivoting his journey into more of I always say like a heart-spaced practice. And that's literally where you're coming from, where we're getting out of the head space and figuring out the heart space of how we can match these two together and actually really get the chance to really get to know the people that we're dealing with, correct? Because I think there's a missing piece in that sometimes.
Yeah, there's a missing piece. Sometimes that personal, creating a personal relationship and taking the time to listen to people, sometimes that's skipped out of the way. And unfortunately in the medical system, and they're just looking at the science of the actual person and not like really talking to the person and spending time. But it's unfortunate, but at the same time, the way that the system is set up, it's because, unfortunately, doctors only have a certain amount of time with their clientele, so there's only so much they could dive into, and that stuff that they're missing is so valuable to really have a conversation with your client or the patient to get to know them a little bit better, than rather than to treat them as like a number or a scientific body part or whatever, and just working on that only. Like, you want that personalization, you want to have a relationship, and when you have a relationship, you're able to get to know the person better and come up with something that's more unique to them. But in the system, the way the system is set up, it doesn't allow you to fully do that. So yeah, that's why I like working with these particular companies and practices, because they have the time to do that.
Right.
I want that. I want people to be treated and taken care of and being actually listened to, because a lot of people that come to us, they have been told things from like their doctors or different medical professionals saying that, hey, this is just what you're going to have to live with this condition, or yeah, you're older, this is the way it's going to be. Like, we don't want people to feel self-defeated. We want to give them hope, and in order to do that, we need to create relationships with them and get to know them better, so that we don't have to tell them this is just the way it's going to be. No, we don't want that.
Right.
That's what we don't want. Yeah.
Right, and it takes. You're very organized. I have to say, for anybody who has not dealt with Mr. Brandon, he's very organized. That's why he also has the data guy. So, but I like that about you. So that's the fun part about how we connected and stuff like that. And so when we're diving into that, you have on here talking about like the comfort zone, and that sort of talks about a little bit about our healthcare and how important it really is, how we all had to sort of like get out of our comfort zone about where we were when we were dealing with the pandemic. So how does this sort of like ease into what you're doing now? Do you see an easier way for the healthcare people to understand it now, taking a more personalized look at it because of the pandemic? Do you feel like there was a shift in maybe their mindset towards, being more personalized because of the pen? Because I mean, it affected the patient and it affects the doctor. So that's what I'm saying. Do you see a shift in it because of the pandemic or anything like that?
So yeah, I can't speak of it in terms of the medical industry. I could only speak of it from the people that are clients and patients or whatnot, in terms of that. So I could say that there's a lot more people that probably most likely change their mindset in terms of, hey, there are a lot of people with comorbidities, having multiple health conditions, that are getting a lot more sicker and experiencing stronger symptoms and possibly even passing away. And so it made some people wake up and say, you know what, I need to be really proactive in terms of my health, so that I don't succumb to any types of viruses, not even now, but in the future as well. Like, you want to be proactive and take care of yourself before the crap hits the storm. I can't say the S word. Hits the storm. So yeah, like, I believe, like, I live by I forgot the name of the quote, who said it, but like, a lot of people, they fail to learn how to be healthy until they get sick. So they want to learn how to be healthy, but they wait until they get sick. And so I think that moniker resonates with a lot of people because they've seen a lot of people getting sick. So that changed their mindset. Hey, before stuff hits the fan, I need to be proactive, so that when, things aren't so well in terms of our environment and different types of viruses going on, like, I could tolerate all those different things or whatnot. So it really made some people to take a more proactive approach. I know when this pandemic hit for me and I had to stay home and not be able to see anybody, I took it upon myself to just self-develop myself and get better. A lot of people were gaining weight. I'm like, I'm just going to use the outside as my gym, working out outside, creating more networking partners with people like yourself, communicating with people, increasing my communication skills, learning more new things to develop myself. Like, I usually just want to adapt to whatever our current environment is, and I pride myself in doing that. And I hope other people could be inspired to adapt according to their current conditions or whatnot, because all progress takes place outside the comfort zone, in my mind. when you're uncomfortable, it's actually a good time for you to start progressing. So that's what motivates me every day to continue to do what I do.
Right. And I know you touched on getting out of the comfort zone. And, I want to stop right here and actually remind the people that if you're picking up what Brandon has been dropping, he's been dropping some great nuggets already. If you've been picking them up, give us a thumbs up, maybe follow up with a comment down below. But we were talking about getting out of your comfort zone. And would you be willing to share a little bit about your story, about how you got into this personal growth journey of yours?
Yeah, so it was full on getting outside of my comfort zone because I was in a stable, good IT job as a data migration specialist. I dealt with a lot of data, and it just wasn't gratifying to me. And I didn't want to have a job where I was counting down the hours of when retirement was going to come, or when the weekend was going to come. I was not satisfied. And people were like, "Man, you're crazy. Like, you have a good job, you're getting paid very well." And I'm like, "Yeah, but like that doesn't matter in the end. Like, I want to do something where I'm making a difference and helping in some capacity." I didn't know exactly what, but then I knew that after thinking about it every day, single day I go to work, like, what could I do? What could I do to make a difference? Like, I knew health and nutrition was something that was near and dear to me because both my grandparents on both my mom and dad's side had suffered from various illnesses, from heart attack, stroke, prediabetes, diabetes, double, triple bypass surgery. And so what really woke me up is when I went to the doctor and the doctor said, "Oh, you have prehypertension. That's on the verge of getting hypertension, heart attack, stroke, stuff like that." And I said to myself, I want to be more of a proactive person and take action. I started reading books, learning how to cook, everything health related I was into. And after that experience, I realized, oh yeah, I should do something with health and nutrition so I could help other people. And so I saved my money, quit my job, I reinvested in myself, went to holistic nutrition, culinary arts school, functional nutrition school, sales and marketing school. It was a full-on reinvestment. And so that itself was an uncomfortable situation because I had to give up a stable paying job to do something else, to chase like what I really wanted to do. So I had to like take a pivot and had to not make as much money at the time because I was reinvesting in myself. And so that was basically an uncomfortable situation. But because I had a goal and a purpose in mind, I knew that everything will work out as long as I worked hard to do it. And now I'm in this position where I'm working with health-based companies, helping other people overcome their health challenges and becoming better versions of themselves. And it gives me great joy. There's no words to really explain like how I feel and how worth it was to make those sacrifices, and how I was so uncomfortable to actually progress. Like, there are a lot of people out there that they may have many responsibilities, so there's no reason why they can't quit their job like I did. Luckily, I didn't have those responsibilities, so I was able to like take those big risks. Not everybody can, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to support, we have to support, but I took the risk, and now I'm to the point where I love what I do, and every day I work up, can't believe that I'm doing what I'm doing because I get to reach out to people and reach out to businesses to help improve their health and wellness, whether it's with their employees or whether it's with actual individuals. So my purpose is fully aligned with what I believe in. So every day is not like work. Even right now, this is fun to me. Like, and I used to not really like talking because I was a data person by heart and by nature. And like, if you told me 3 years ago I was going to be doing stuff like this, being on a show, like I would have been like, "You're crazy. I don't do that kind of stuff."
Right. I love it because it's like we identify what we think we're about, but then really, like I said, when we take a deeper dive and really start reinvesting in ourselves and figuring out who are we, what can we do, what are our inventory. I say our inventory of skills. It really can pivot us to a whole new level. And I wanted to touch on that too, because you talked about shifting out of your comfort zone. What would be, adding to somebody who may be coming across this video and they're not, they're kind of scared. What would your advice be to somebody who's thinking about maybe taking that change of career or pivoting? What would your advice be?
The one thing for me that kept me, I guess, hopeful was I was always thinking about the end goal. Like, yeah, you have to think about the process or whatever. I was deep in the process, but when you're deep in the process, sometimes you feel like there's a lack of hope, and like, when is it ever gonna be? Like, oh my God, I need to get back to where I was before. Like, cause I always thought like, man, I kind of miss stable pay. But what got me through is like I was always thinking about kind of the general end result and the dream at the very end of all the hard work. Like obviously like I had a somewhat of a dream of what I wanted to do, but what I do now didn't match exactly what the dream was, but it's actually better than what I dreamed of doing. So so I was always thinking about the end result, like, hey, I'm going to be helping people in some capacity. I'm going to be contributing to society in a positive way. It's going to make me so much feel better about myself. It's not going to be like work anymore. Like, I didn't know the details of exactly what I was going to do, but I was always thinking of that end result. So knowing that that end result was all that hard work in between was totally worth it, you know? Yeah. So yeah, that's my answer. I'm sticking with.
Well, I like that. Thank you. And like I said, I want we're getting close to the end of our 20 minutes, which is amazing how fast it goes by. But I primarily like maybe 2 or 3 questions left for you. And my biggest key question I always like to ask is, what's the one thing you want people to take away from your interview today? If there's nothing else that they hear from you, what's the one thing you want them to understand from today's interview?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. I wish you prepared me for that one. So, what's one thing I want people to take away? I guess the one thing I really want to take away is, like their purpose. Like, I really want people to wake up to being inspired to really take action and be proactive when it comes to being a better version of themselves, whether it's in business, whether it's in health. Like, I want a society where people are just constantly improving. If I could touch upon people to not beat that idea into the head, but to get that idea into the head, to be better versions of themselves compared to the day before, like, that's what I'm hoping. And I want to continue to surround myself with other people that are like that. And I hope other people could do the same thing as well, because as you're doing that, that's like I don't even know if it's called force multiplier, but you're just multiplying how society is going to be continually improving by surrounding yourselves with people that are health minded, that are growth minded, that are into self development. Like, I want a society where people are trying to get better, and know that they're not perfect, and that's cool with me, because that's why I'm I guess thirsty, or not desperate or thirsty, but like, I'm always motivated to connect with people like yourself, or with other people that are growth minded, doing different things, because there's always something to learn from them. So I guess the one thing I want to tell people is continue to build positive relationships with other people, and those ones that are negative, you gotta let them go. You gotta let them go so that you can continue to fly and flourish. That's really the main thing, so yeah.
Well, Mr. Brandon, even though I didn't prepare you, as you say, you did a great job on answering that question. So, I can't imagine, because if you work with Brandon, I'm definitely strong to connect with Brandon, because he is amazing with his data. And I was like, I got to learn that system too. But before we really dive into that, and I would definitely love to have you come back. Where can people find more information about you, your services, and what you do if they want to follow up with you?
So the thing where I live digitally is mainly on LinkedIn. So you can find me at Brandon Robert Drake. That's like my full name. If you look Brandon Robert Drake on LinkedIn, you can contact me there. I have a whole bunch of different videos. You could direct message me, whatever is easiest for you. That's probably the number one way, and then email. But if you just use social media, LinkedIn is a big one, because I connect with a lot of professionals.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Brandon. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and insight with us. It's been a pleasure to connect with you.
You as well. I appreciate your time. It won't by so fast.
I know, right? It's amazing how fast 20 minutes could go by. And I also want to thank everybody who tuned in. Remember that feedback is always welcome. Links that Brandon mentioned the links that Brandon mentioned will be posted down in the description box below. So please make sure you check out those juicy gems. And again, if you've enjoyed today's show, give us a like. Hit that like button over there. And if you want to continue getting some of the great insight that Mr. Brandon shared today, and hit that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we will see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. All right. Bye-bye.